In this video, I'm going to tell you all of my secrets. I'm going to tell you how I make a living on this app. I'm going to give you all my juicy tips. I've been trying to put something into words for a while, and I think that I finally have it, and that's why I think this is useful, because if you can name it, you can claim it. Can I get an amen up in here? Okay, I think that this is an important thing to understand at the beginning of this. So if we go all the way back to the beginning of YouTube, which was 2008, can you believe that? When YouTube started, it was based on a subscriber thing. You could subscribe to the people that you liked. And that sort of put you into their follower group. So every time they posted something, you would see it. Then Facebook came along and they changed that up. They didn't put your posts in order. They put them in order of most popular. So the people that you followed, the most popular posts rose to the top. And then finally TikTok changed it to the For You page. Doesn't matter who you follow. They're just gonna learn what you like and show you that. And it really, really worked. And so now all of the apps have pretty much switched to that. And when I say worked, I mean it's the most addictive. That's why it's cool in a way. It's like it's what you want to unplug. You lay in bed and scroll forever, and it's endless entertainment, sort of custom selected for you. When I was just starting out on TikTok all the way back in 2020, remember those days? It seemed like they had a little bit of follower spice on it. Like the followers did seem to matter in those days. They've definitely turned down the follower spice knob. And I think that's the thing. I was in denial about it, and I think a lot of other creators have been as well. It's a little over a year ago, everyone kind of felt something shift, and it was like, it seems like it doesn't even matter how many followers you have. It's just, is it a viral video or is it not? And now I'm like, let's not be in denial about it. That is what it is. So embrace it or don't, but that's what it is. We can definitely lament how that doesn't really nurture creativity or necessarily the best content. It's just the most viral content, right? And it causes you to do things in a certain way that kind of sucks. Like, don't scroll, or don't scroll. Please engage and subscribe, or you have to kind of beg. It sucks. We all learn, like, it seems like there's certain words you can't say, or I don't know. It just makes things, it has to be a certain way. You just kind of learn what is going to work or what isn't going to work. So when I first started to blow up, my Generation X instincts like really kicked in. And here's what the kids can learn, the one thing kids can learn from Gen X. DIY, do it yourself. I was in a band back in the day, in the 90s, and everything was DIY. It's like, don't wait for a record deal, make your own record deal. So we made our own CDs and sold it ourselves. We booked our own shows. We collected email addresses on clipboards. DIY, baby, make it happen yourself. And we had this sort of equation that if you could just get 1,000 real fans, you could have a career off 1,000 people. It seemed so doable. And the idea was like 1,000, like we called them super fans. So people who every time you came around, they would come to the show, they'd buy your CD, they'd buy a t-shirt. 1,000 of those, you've got some kind of income. And it's encouraging because that sounds so doable. Yeah, so when my TikTok first started to blow up, all of those instincts kicked back in. And I was like, get people's email addresses, let's book some shows, let's get out there on the road and make it happen. I started a zine. Like everything is real old school for me. Oh, I suppose I should mention that I know a lot of people on the social media apps make their living largely through sponsorships. And I'm a little bit different. I've actually never done that. I've never done any sponsorships. I make my entire income is almost completely from my live show, ticket sales. So I'm a little different in that respect, but it might be helpful to hear my slightly different perspective for artists out there who are thinking of trying to use social media for their art to find their audience. That's largely what I've done. No one asks me to do sponsorships. Why do brands not want me to represent them? Okay, so here's some numbers. In the last couple of years, I've collected about 15,000 email addresses. And if I were just to put together like some really quick off the top of my head numbers, maybe I've done 150 shows in the last couple years and an average of maybe like 200 people per show. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less, but I'll say, I'm just making this up real fast, but about 200. So that's like 30,000 tickets. And that's a small percentage of, if you look at all of my followers across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, it's like 2.5 million. So, 30,000 people. It's like 0.5% or something, But those 30,000 people have made my dreams come true. I'm traveling all over the world doing really cool shows with just a tiny little percentage. Back in those early days, I was in like the same place as Elyse Myers and Matt Rife. And then a lot of those people just really skyrocketed, blew up. I know a lot of people get concerned about their numbers, how many followers they have. I know for young people especially, they get really caught up about how many followers they have. And I maybe had moments too in those early days like, well, God, why am I not as big as Elyse Myers? I'm not saying this is how I feel. I'm just letting you in on brief moments of insecurity. Just had to let that go. It's not a contest. You shouldn't try and compare yourself to what other people are doing. I'm doing my own super cool thing with 0.5%. Oh, but also side note, while we're talking about this, my TikTok follower amount has been at 1.6 million for 2 years. Hasn't budged. Isn't that weird? I rose to that number in the first year, and then it has not moved in almost 2 years. Isn't that strange? I don't know why. But again, it kind of doesn't matter because at some point they turned the follower button all the way down. Kind of doesn't matter. Maybe that's not true. I think if you have a lot of followers, it does give you an advantage. Most things I post get decently seen. Not like they used to. Another little anecdote that I think goes along with this. At the end of last year, I had a few shows in Europe, and they really overshot the size of the venue. Like some of the theaters were like huge, like a place you'd go see Radiohead or something, like huge 1,500, 2,000 seat theaters. I don't draw like that at this point in my career. So, I draw 200 to 300 people. So all these shows, there was a moment where I was like, oh, this was kind of maybe a fail. But it's like, I'm in Helsinki and 200 people are here to see me. I'm in London and there's 300 people here to see me. This is not a failure. This is wildly amazing. It's kind of like dream come true amazing. It's important to keep things in perspective, not compare yourself. It's wild. It's amazing. I'm so thankful for those 250 people. The 0.5% of my followers. I'm so thankful for them. I think for a minute I felt like I needed to try and convince people that they should scroll less and find art, man. But I think you just gotta let people do what they want to do. It happens, it happened in music. A lot of people everyone stopped buying CDs. Everyone just started using Spotify. And then some people returned to buying records. You know what I mean? And I think we're in a place where we just want to disconnect and scroll. You want to lay in bed and just show me shit that will make me laugh. I think that's where a lot of us are. That's okay. But I'm going to keep making stuff in my way and hope that the 30,000 come along with me.